Hey, welcome back. It's Jason Walter here. In today's video, I'm going to share the latest housing market update from Redfin. This was actually just published yesterday at the time of this video here. And they stated this report here that home buying demand is decreasing and sellers are reducing their asking prices in all-time record high levels. So with that said, let's go ahead and dive right into the video. Hope you guys get a lot of value out of today's video. And of course, hope you guys are having an awesome day. So here's the latest report from Redfin, again, just published on the 7th of July. It says home buyers are getting some relief as sellers slash their asking prices at a record rate and mortgage rates drop following months of increases. I actually have a lot of news to share regarding mortgage rates and some news headlines you guys should be aware of. And it says here the housing market is finally balancing out after having months and months of a strong seller's market. And it says soaring housing costs, in other words, a lack of housing affordability, caused many house hunters or home buyers to drop out in recent months. Today's buyers are seeing the housing shortage ease, in other words, more houses listed for sale, price growth slowing, competition declining, and mortgage rates dropping from their 2022 high. On top of that, as I mentioned, the share of home sellers slashing their asking prices or reducing their asking prices has reached a new all-time record high. And according to Daryl Fairweather, who's Redfin's chief economist, she had this to say: conditions for home buyers are improving. Housing, of course, remains very expensive, but mortgage rates just posted their biggest weekly drop since 2008. I have a lot of information to share regarding this because it depends on which source you look at. And because of this biggest weekly drop, this makes home buying just a bit more affordable. So I actually want to touch very briefly regarding this biggest weekly drop in mortgage rates, the biggest drop since 2008, because the media has really been posting about this today, which is the 8th of July. Here's one. It says mortgage rates saw their biggest drop since 2008. Mortgage rates dipped slightly. Also, they have here mortgage rates plummet amid recession fears. But what's happening here is that the news media is looking at the report. This is a weekly report from Freddie Mac. This was actually just published yesterday, and it's based on a weekly survey for average mortgage rates across the United States. And according to this weekly survey, which is again just published yesterday, it says the 30-year fixed rate mortgage averaged 5.30%. It says over the last 2 weeks, the 30-year fixed rate mortgage dropped by 0.5% as concerns about a potential recession continue to rise. So according to Freddie Mac, the average rate for a 30-year fix is 5.30%. Last week, it was actually 5.70%. So in other words, according to Freddie Mac, in 1 week, mortgage rates decreased by approximately 40 basis points. And again, what I really don't like about Freddie Mac's stats here is that it's a weekly survey based on average mortgage rates. And so that tends to work when you don't have a lot of volatility in our housing market or a lot of volatility in the mortgage market. But this year, mortgage rates have been very volatile. They've been going up and down very, very much. So we've been seeing big fluctuations on a day-to-day basis and not just on a weekly basis. So when looking at weekly average rates, you can have some very big differences when looking at daily rates. So again, this is published on the 7th of July. When you have a look at the Mortgage News Daily though, here's their headline: no, mortgage rates are not lower today. And this was also published on the 7th of July. And the reasoning behind why the Mortgage News Daily is saying that mortgage rates actually did not decrease today is because, again, this is a weekly survey. However, the Mortgage News Daily is, of course, a daily survey. So have a look at this because this is very big differences here. So the orange line here is a Freddie Mac's weekly housing survey or weekly mortgage survey. So again, right now it's 5.30%. When we look at daily rates, daily rate as of today is 5.84% according to the Mortgage News Daily. So a big difference between the 5.30% that Freddie Mac is sharing. So if you were just to follow Freddie Mac's average weekly survey here, you would have a little bit differences regarding actual fluctuation in mortgage rates, because according to Freddie Mac, average mortgage rates have basically been decreasing for 2 consecutive weeks. However, though, when you look at rates according to the Mortgage News Daily, look at the fluctuations here. We basically hit 5.95% right here, and basically rates have been increasing for the past couple of days, whereas the rates on Freddie Mac have been decreasing. In any case, when you're looking at stats, really have a look at the source, because as you guys can see here, depending on the source, you can be getting much different results regarding mortgage rates across the United States. So when going back to this report from Redfin here, it says, of course, that mortgage rates decrease, of course, making this more affordable for home buyers. But when looking at the average rates for 30-year fixed over the past few days, that's just the opposite. Mortgage rates have been increasing from approximately 5.5% as of July 5th, and now they're at 5.84%. One thing there's not denying, though, is that this housing market is definitely slowing down. So according to a Redfin real estate agent, who is Jessica Nelson, she had this to say. The market slowdown, by the way, she's in Columbia, South Carolina. The market slowdown is giving buyers more opportunities to negotiate, especially with sellers whose homes have been on the market for a while. So if you guys are looking for a house to buy right now, here's my advice for you guys. Be very well informed about your real estate market of where you plan to buy a house because every housing market's different. But if you're looking to buy a house right now, because we're seeing a lot of price reductions, houses sitting on the market longer, then have a look at the houses that have been sitting on the market for a very long period of time, especially those who have not had a price reduction yet. So my advice to you guys is have a look at the houses that you're interested in that have been sitting on the market for a long period of time. Go take a look at those houses. If you like any of those houses, place an offer for less than the seller's asking for their house. Also, because if the house has been sitting on the market for a very long period of time, chances are you're not going to be having any competition from other home buyers. And because of this, you could be offering less than their asking price and also potentially asking for a closing cost credit. So that's my main piece of advice for you guys looking to buy a house right now, because we're starting to see a big slowdown in our housing market. And if a house is sitting on the market for a long period of time, chances are you're not going to be fighting against other home buyers for that same house. So in any case, let's go back to this report here. Here's some leading indicators of home buying activity. Fewer people are searching for houses for sale on Google, down 2% from 1 year ago for the week ending July 2nd. Also, the Redfin Home Buying Demand Index, which of course is an index based on requests for home tours and other home buying services from Redfin agents, was down 15% year over year. And here's a graphic depiction showing this demand index falling greatly so far this year, especially ever since April this year. Right now, down 15% compared to 2021, which is the blue line right here. Red line here is 2022. So demand from home buyers right now is basically at the lowest levels we've seen since basically May of 2020, besides a small blip in mid-June. So right now, home buying demand is basically at the lowest levels since basically May of 2020, besides this small blip here in mid-June. So the index right now is 125. The index has not been that low again since May of 2020, when we were just coming out of stay-at-home orders across the United States. Also, the demand from home buyers right now is lower than any other week in 2021. And as it's been important to you guys, we're seeing less home tours by real estate agents showing properties to home buyers right now. So this is for the data through July 7th, which is yesterday at the time of this video. And these are real estate agent showings in North America. And what they do is they look at current levels of home showings compared to the first week of the year. So right now in 2022, for this most recent data we have, home tours are actually down 17.1% compared to the first week of this year. So home tours are down 17% right now compared to the first week of 2022, whereas in 2021, home tours were actually up 2.1% compared to the first week of 2021. What I also found to be very interesting, and you guys of course should be aware of this, is that the total number of real estate showings across North America has been negative ever since June 16th of this year. In other words, we've had less home tours compared to the first week of 2022 ever since June 16th of this year. And something also you should be aware of is that look at 2021. We only went in the negative basically in mid-February, and also way back in November of 2021. So the only time we had a negative amount of home showings compared to the first week of 2021 was in mid-February of 2021, and also during the holidays back in November through December of last year. So in other words, it's very telling that we're seeing a big drop in home showings really ever since mid-June, which tends to be more of a hot housing market. Another trend we're seeing right now is a lack of people submitting loan applications for home purchases. This is according to the Mortgage Bankers Association, or the MBA. So purchase applications across the United States were down 17% from 1 year ago for the week ending July 1st. Also, compared to 1 week ago, purchase applications were down 4%. And last but not least, the share of price reductions, of course, hit an all-time record high. So on average, 7% of houses for sale each week had a price drop, a record high as far back as this data goes, which basically was the beginning of 2015. The key word here is each week, because 7% each week, multiply that by 4, that gives you a 28% of price reductions by week. In other words, out of all the houses listed for sale, 28% of those have price reductions. And here's a really good graphic depiction showing the share of price reductions across the United States. So by week, it's at 6.9%. Again, multiply that by 4, approximately 28% of listings right now have had price reductions over the past 4 weeks here. And no big surprises here, because the share of price reductions basically started skyrocketing back in April. And what happened in April? Mortgage rates surpassed 5% for the average 30-year fixed rate mortgage, the highest levels since approximately 2011. Also, 1 year ago, the share of price reductions by week was only 3%. So the share right now is basically double last year's levels. So comment below with your biggest takeaways from today's video. Also, if you guys got any value out of today's video whatsoever, then please hit the like button. I greatly appreciate that. Hope you guys have an awesome day and look forward to seeing you on the next video.